And now join Ahmed El-Shafie, Director Data and Analytics at PwC ETIC, as he presents Traditional Governance Dead. He'll explore how AI and GenAI are reinventing governance models across data risk, privacy, and compliance with smarter real-time oversight tools that go beyond traditional frameworks. Please welcome Ahmed El-Shafie.
Today we are going to talk about a very boring topic. It's called traditional data governance. It's called data governance. And how this data governance, if we know what it is, how we're doing it today, is really struggling. And how AI and GenAI is helping to make this much better and much more efficient. But I strongly doubt that I'm going to be able to cover all this. Okay. Very brief background about myself. My name is Ahmed El-Shafie. I'm a director of data and analytics in PwC ETIC. ETIC is a technology innovation center. So I spent my 20 years career mostly in the data space. I did a lot of data projects, led a lot of data projects, and built two of the biggest data and analytics teams in the region, once in IBM Global Delivery Center and now in PricewaterhouseCoopers, and God knows in the future. I love astronomy. I love riding my scooter, who my wife bought for me, and she hated buying it for me ever since. And I love doing a lot of hiking, and I'm a National Geographic fan. I have all the issues from 1919 until today. I actually have a spreadsheet with all the issues that I have, so that I could buy it again by mistake. So, data governance. What is data governance? Raise your hand if you don't know anything about data governance. Okay. Yeah, I suspected it will be much more than that. So usually, when we ask organization, like, do you do data governance? Most of the people, like very little people will say, yes, we do, no, we don't. And the vast majority, they don't know what is this aslan. Okay? Type. So let's just spend some time here. What is data governance? So imagine that you have a lot of teams working in your company now. You have the core teams, the core teams who are responsible for the day-to-day business. They are for example, in a bank, they are the core banking team. You have the cards team, you have the customer service, you have the back office, you have the front office. You have a lot of things working with applications, a lot of databases, getting a lot of data. So a lot of action is happening in a company. Data governance is not about any of that. Data governance is like الرقابة الإدارية, or like the airport tower control. There's a group of bunch of people sitting very high floor and watching and observing what's happening. And they are measuring how this is happening and is it going well or not. So it's an authority, it's an audit, it's a quality assessment, and much more than that. So let's start with the first important thing. If we imagine that data governance is based on three main boxes, like the boxes of the Amazon. The first one is called the glossary. So who have idea what is the glossary? Or a dictionary? Yes. Hmm?
It's not a definition. So for example, you might have like 1 million customers, but active customers, what defines an active customer is your business definition. So this is where glossary comes in.
Thank you very much. I owe you a present. So glossary is pretty much what he said. We have to agree in a company what a customer means. I'll tell you a very easy example. I went to the Gulf and I went to sit with the Minister of the Education in one of the Gulf country, And I'm trying to understand the main issues or the main pain points he's struggling every day. And he says, you know what? It's a very easy pain point. I have 19 departments under my authority. I have 19 heads. And I ask them one question. How many schools we have here in the country? And guess what? Everyone tell him a different number. And to make it worse, they are all getting it from the same system, from the same, the same core system, okay? It's not like they are getting it from other places. And obviously, this is not a technology issue. This is not a skills issue. This is a lack of governance. We don't agree what is a school. Because this guy says the disabled schools are counted in. This guy here he's not, it's not counted. Why are you counting it? Private schools are in. No, they are not in. So we don't have a dictionary. We don't have a glossary. So this is the first pillar. If we have 3 pillars, this is the first pillar. We need to sit as an organization. الشركة بتاعتنا دي تعالوا يا جماعة عشان نتفق يعني ايه عميل، يعني ايه حساب، يعني ايه حساب جاري، يعني ايه حساب توفيري، يعني ايه أوعية ادخارية، terms, deposits, loans. What does it mean, a loan? Okay. We can do that on a piece of paper. We can do it on an Excel sheet. And we can do it on a platform. Okay. But we need to do it. Okay. Doing it on a manual sheet or an Excel sheet is better than not doing it at all. Okay. The second point is metadata. Who knows what is metadata? Data about data? Hmm? Facebook? Describing what you have. The data that you have. This is exactly correct. I owe you two presents. So we have here in our company, in our Ministry of Education, we have the student systems, the core system of the schools. We have a lot of systems. And they have massive number of tables, massive number of folders, SharePoint. We have a lot of things, right? Do we know all these things? Do we know this 5,000 database schema? What is each table used for? Do you know what is this do not underscore delete underscore temp table means? Okay. I will kill you if you delete whatever. Okay. So we don't know. So the second thing is, now that we agree on the dictionary, okay, what is the terms and definitions that we have in our company, we need to create like a database or a data set that has all these names of tables and procedures and reports and dashboards and pipelines and everything, right? Put it in one place. This is in its very primitive state. It becomes smarter over time. We can say like this table, how many records, how many columns have nulls, how many issues in the data quality. So you can say a lot of things. How many times this table is read by who? So we can go all the spectrum of the maturity. The third point in governance is what we call the rules and policies. Who can guess what they stand for? Anyone?
Data retention period, for example.
Data?
Retention.
Data retention.
Yeah. For how long should I save this data in our data record?
This is a very good example. What else, guys? This is a good policy. This is the rules of the game. So you are running your game, right? You're running your company. What are the rules that you need to follow? If you have no rules, fine. Okay, you are you're improvising all the time. But you can most probably you have your own rules. I need, to have this kind of retention of the data. I need to do this kind of masking of PPI, sensitive customer data. I need to secure access. I need, if I share my data with أي هيئة, مش أي حد أديله أي حاجة. There is some kind of rules, okay? Who gets to see what? And sometimes policies and rules are enforced on you by law. Who heard about GDPR, PIPP, China personal data law, California law? There is a lot of, there's the AI Act now, and we have here in Egypt the Egyptian GDPR. It's now produced, and we have Suzanne Aqabawi, the Deputy Minister for Data Governance. She's working very active. So policies can come enforced on you. You need to be able to identify your customer private data at any point of time. This customer can call you, Sabah al-Fol, I need my data to be forgotten. And you have to do it in some number of weeks, okay, by law. Otherwise, you will pay a huge penalty. If you are not a filthy rich company, you can declare your bankruptcy in just one violation. So, again, the glossary, we have all the terms and definitions. The metadata, we know all the technical columns and everything that we have on the ground. And rules and policies describe how this metadata, which are tied to some kind of a term, should look like. We have a quality rule that could say the Egyptian citizen, okay, needs to be the KYC rule in the banks, right? These fields in every customer should be 100% accurate. What kind of fields? So the name, the address, the national ID, the date of birth, blah, blah, blah. So what does it mean a national ID is valid? You get to granulate, okay? National ID should be 19 digits, should start with 2 or 3, and it doesn't have any letters, and. This is where you document the policy. And you get to say this policy run on something called the national ID in the customer, in the citizen, and the metadata store will tell you every single column in every single table and every single Google Doc or whatever that has the national ID inside. And once you do the link between these three things, you are able to measure how accurate am I storing my national IDs in all my systems. It will be shitty in the beginning, you know, once you start to implement this. I worked on a huge government centralized citizen data warehouse program, consolidating data from 100 entities in government and private and public entities. Data about citizen and data about companies. And then they start to analyze the quality, and it's 0% in a lot of them. 0%. So it's not there. You don't have any national IDs stored at your system. Go collect it, okay? You have to do something about it. And the beauty is you run this every once in a while, and you can see how you are doing over the time. So you started at here, now you're getting improving. So I can reward you, and I can feel more secure that we're moving to the right direction. Or it can get worse. That means nothing is under control, and that we are, you know, hitting the wall. Okay. طيب, glossary بقى. This is a concept. How is it done on the ground? As I said, we can start by a manual, you know, spreadsheet that contains all the terms and definitions, and there is a group of people that govern. في كده agreement DAMA, if anybody is familiar with DAMA, في حاجات تانية كتير. They are really stating very clearly the organization structure that should be able to create this glossary in the beginning and then manage its change management over the time. There's a process to do that. We decided to change what the customer means in the bank. Let's do it. There's a process to do it, and then everybody is knowing about it. There's a lot of platforms that help do that now, centralized data governance platforms, where you can log in with all these rules, and you're able to do this instead of an Excel sheet or a manual thing. For the metadata, we started with tools that are able to connect to SQL Server, Oracle, Teradata, any kind of database. You just give it the URL, username and password. It goes in, fetch from the metadata everything, and populates it automatically. It goes and gets all the procedures. It connects to the Power BI, to Tableau server, to every reporting and dashboarding tool you can ever imagine. It brings all the number of dashboards and everything it reads from where? So when you have this, you have something called lineage. You know every single report, every single field. جاي منين وبعدين منين وبعدين منين لغاية من ايه the first data source that it came from. And you know the other way around. And this helps you do something very interesting. It's called bi-directional impact analysis. لما حد من some of our data engineers, okay, they like decide to drop a table or drop some columns from, you know, a legacy system or something, and they have no idea what this will impact. Through the metadata, he can definitely know there's going to be minimum impact, there's going to be a huge impact, and who are the audience of this reports that depend on these columns, and then he can study this carefully. Okay? Rules and policies, same platforms manage the rules, manage the policy, and they are even execute. So let me say, I know that there is a student, there is a customer, and I know from manual links all the customer tables in our system. AI and GenAI intervenes here and does that automatically. So you explain to it what the customer and what kind of fields, what's the personal sensitive data, it's a credit card, it's, and it goes crawls for you and give you some confidence. So they say 100% sure that this is, you know, customer, I'm 90, I'm 80, I'm 50-50, and you have your data steward now, and instead of doing this massive work, they're just reviewing the uncertainty. And AI keeps learning, right? So it gets better over the time. Okay. What happened before data governance? Or let me ask the question in a different way. Did people develop these systems and these data warehouses first and then decided to do data governance? Or should it have been do the data governance and establish governance first and then start to do on these systems? So I want to hear your opinion. Governance first. Governance first. Why?
Part of the governance would be first, and the other parts were developed.
Okay. Hybrid.
Yes.
Some and some. Okay. Why do you think governance should become first?
It will save cost and time and money and everything if you do this at the first place.
Okay.
And absolutely, it's an ongoing process. And you will gonna enhance, edit, remove, and add every now and then when it's needed. But it's better from the beginning to think about how to establish this mainstream governance across the organization.
Do you guys agree? You guys agree? No. Why don't you agree? No, the one behind you. Yeah?
I think this is not how the technology usually evolves. Usually innovation comes first, then a lot of tar'iyah happens, and then comes the need for governance. Like AI, for example, now it's not really governed. Innovation and technology happens first, and then comes the need for governance, and then we have rules, I think.
Okay. So governance should have come first. This is the truth, right? But this is the truth in the utopia where I wish to live in from 40 years ago, right? I really wish to do that. However, in reality, company never ever thought about something called governance. And they started to build, you know, get data in like mountains, okay? And yeah, and trash in, you know? They're doing a lot of things like who is that? This is the same thing that I just talked about. Same question, everybody gives a different answer. And this, okay, is not happening in reality because this is not the business critical first. I need to operational the company, I need to establish the core systems, I need to run and operate and serve customers first. And then when the problem exploded, they discovered they need to do governance. and they thought about it, and they are paying high price. So I can imagine, I need to go quicker, I can imagine that new companies learn from this lesson, right? New startups start with governance first. No, they never. This is the last one in their agenda. Unless they're gonna violate GDPR or something and pay a lot of money, then they just take care of that part. But anything with no violation, they will just discard it because they need to operationalize first. Okay, let's skip back so traditional governance, as I said, it's based on a platform. So main things are semi-automated and manual processes where I tag the data, where I assign the catalog, where I do the lineage, but it's not a fully automated thing, right? And yeah, just a glimpse about some of the real failures that happened in the world. So Citigroup, due to a lack of data governance last year, just entered a huge amount of money in someone's bank account by mistake. And sometime later, they reversed this transaction. Do you think, how large was that transaction? Guess. Billions. It was $81 trillion. I wish I was this account. It was just for a couple of hours when they discovered and reversed this, but you can imagine how this impacted the chief data officer and the whole customer segment in there. Equifax, back in 2017, due to a data breach, they disclosed the half US citizen national security and all the sensitive data, and they had to pay this amount of money. Cambridge Analytica, I know that someone was earlier in the day talking about elections and how data analytics in election, this is basically how it kind of manipulated election. So where the magic happened quickly, metadata, okay, which we just talked about, the AI metadata tagging of structured data, this really works well, it's high potential, and it saves a lot of work. But more importantly, the tagging of unstructured data. We have a lot of contracts, scanned images, emails, stuff like that. We don't know what is inside. AI can help definitely in that. Lower confidence, lower accuracy maybe, but it's better than the fully manual stuff. Confidence unsuspect and human feedback is very important. AI takes feedback and improves over the time. So this process starts like with 10K performance, and then 15K, 20K, and it boosts all the way, month after month. Lineage, as we said, is mainly source of the data, gets transformed, go to a report. How does this happen, right? What is this link? This is typically done in a manual or semi-manual maintained steps. AI is doing automatic discovery of these links. More importantly, currently we say how the data moved, right? It moved from here to here to here. AI can say, why did it move from here to here like that? Why did you split this column into 2 columns? Because I'm putting this report for this regulatory committee, that's why we need to split this. So it goes to the how, okay? And data quality, we have the traditional anomaly detection and all the stuff that we are currently working on, which is way good, right? Very good. But machine learning with context can detect anomalies, but based on this kind of business in this country, postal codes and stuff like that in Europe. In Egypt, there's nothing, the maturity of the address here is not like in any other place. Gives this into context, it will treat it differently. And compliance, we can skip compliance, right? But basically compliance, we shift from, we now discover we have compliance issue that happened in the past, okay? And we say, no, you don't need to do this. And AI now will shift you into real-time compliance. Imagine someone putting a file on a SharePoint, and in real time, AI detects that this is data that shouldn't be put and the content are not blah, 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 and it gets deleted automatically and notified to the management. versus something, that happened a month ago and get alerted, for example. The technology is AI, agentic AI, GenAI, put in some kind of code, that runs at some times of the day, maybe in a batch, in the early adopter, in a batch mode, or maybe in a very mature organization, it becomes a very near real time. Okay, that it will override you while you are trying to do it. It will not allow you to do it, and then leak happened, and then we pay fines or about to pay fine. So it's very preventative. The last point is anonymization and data privacy. So, yes. Yes. So there is usually every country have some law and some rules that are put to govern data. So GDPR is in the Europe. So any European person, any company storing European person data, even outside Europe, has to comply with GDPR. It has a lot of things. One of them is the right to be forgotten. I need to delete my data from you. You have to comply. You have to know where is my data. Even that's the main issue. Yeah. But this is the legislation is always the source of the compliance. So central banks, like they require blah, blah, blah. So this is all coming, you have to comply. Basel 1, Basel 2, all the compliance in the banking. Okay? Anonymization and the data masking. Okay, this is very, I'm wrapping up. This is so the traditional way, that this is a sensitive private data. This is the tables and columns that have sensitive private data. We have to mask it before sharing. But AI can make it a little different. So who is the one reading the data now? Okay, in a hospital, a doctor is checking a patient data, then it masks some data and leaves others that are, clinical and stuff like that for the doctor. If I'm sharing with the insurance firm, so AI detects who am I sharing the data for. It masks the data in a smart way, real time, instead of just a generic works one size fits all approach. Last thing is the challenges of what I'm just saying. Okay, this is like it needs a lot of hours of explanation. I know. I'm sorry, Yani, about this. But after the session, I'll be available. I know that some have question, but the main challenges, every other challenge in AI, resistance to change, right? So everyone working in the company will say, this is jeopardizing our org structure. A lot of people will lose their jobs. A lot of things that this is the core job of me, data stewards, manual stuff will go away, so what I'm gonna do? Lack of expertise even in AI is another challenge, because you need to educate a lot of people in how to interpret. You cannot just leave it working like that and you're setting back. You have to understand and stop it and alert, when something is not wrong, right? And upskilling and training of the workforce for this new way. So you have change management challenges. Okay, you need the change management people. What's in it for me? And there have to be something for them. And the other way is the scaling of the people. I think that's it. Thanks a lot, everyone. Any last question? All good? All good.